Bonjour tout le monde, comment ça va? Today we are going to learn about the object pronouns with the imperative. So let's quickly review the imperative first. As you remember, the imperative is used to give commands. So, for example, here you have the three forms of the imperative. You have mange le gâteau, eat the cake, and that is really the tu form. But as in English, you don't say you eat the cake. So you just say eat the cake. In French, you don't say tu manges le gâteau. You just say mange le gâteau. But we know it's the tu form here. You also notice that, of course, in English, in the regular sentence, tu manges, the tu form will take an S. With the er verb and the verb aller, remember, you do not use the S in the imperative. The S, you drop it. So you also have the nous form in the imperative. Let's open the door, ouvrons la porte. And you have the vous form, tournez à droite, turn right. As you remember, the nous form is more a suggestion, right, than a command, because really it's let's open the door, right? So the two form in the imperative to give command is the tu and the vous form. So a few sentences here. Achète du lait, buy some milk. Again, here, no S. Va à la bibliothèque, go to the library. The verb aller here, no S. Sois à l'heure, the verb être, be on time. That's a very highly irregular verb. And then here you have those verbs, finis, finis tes devoirs, finish your homeworks. It's the verb finir. Those verbs will keep the S at the tu form. Would be finissez vos devoirs, finissons nos devoirs. Prends ton chapeau, de prendre ici will also keep that S. Prends ton chapeau, take your hat, and then réponds à la question. Le verbe is répondre. Donc that will keep the S as well. Answer the question. So you also want to remember the imperative negative, right? So ne mange pas le gâteau, don't eat the cake. Just as in regular sentence, the two part of the negation surround the verb. Again, you don't have the subject in English. You don't say you don't eat the cake. You just say don't eat the cake. You don't have also either. You don't have a subject either in French. So ne mange pas le gâteau. The verb manger is the er verb, so you don't have an S here. Let's not open the door. N'ouvrons pas la porte. Same thing, the negation surround the verb. Here you have the N apostrophe because you have a voyelle here. Ne tournez pas à droite. Don't turn right. Again, the negation surround the verb. So let's see now what the object pronoun with the imperative. So we have a sentence here, mange le gâteau, and let's say we want to replace le gâteau by a pronoun. So here, mange le gâteau, eat the cake. How would you say eat it? So now remember the object pronoun that we've seen before. You can replace here the masculine noun by le. Therefore, it's going to be mange-le. Eat it. As you notice here, the pronoun goes behind the verb, just like in English. But it is quite unusual because up to now, if you remember, the object pronouns always come in front of the verb. For example, je le mange. Le gâteau. Sorry. Je le mange. So in a regular sentence, we learn that the object pronoun usually place in front of the verb. In the imperative, they place behind the verb. So, second example, ouvrons la porte. Let's say here we want to replace la porte by a pronoun. It's a feminine noun. It's going to be ouvrons-la. Let's open the door. Ouvrons la porte. Ouvrons-la. Let's open it. Third example, we have here ces livres. Lisez ces livres. Read these books. Now we have a noun that is plural. Lisez-les. Read them. Here, va à la bibliothèque. So remember here, à la bibliothèque, it go to the library. You have a preposition and a place. It's gonna be, you have to use a Y. Y. Vas-y. Go there. So remember, look at here. Va à la bibliothèque, and here, why do you have that little s here? Because we said at the imperative we don't use the s for the er verb and aller. Well, here it's only because of the liaison, because it's easier to say vas-y than va-y. So it's just a question of pronunciation here. You will add that s to simplify the pronunciation. So, vas-y, go there. Then last sentence, achète du lait, buy some milk. Here, as if you remember, to indicate some, well, here this is a partitive article. So if you want to replace a noun that is preceded by a partitive article, the pronoun that we are going to use is en. And here, achète-en, buy some. Again, here, because of the pronunciation, we're going to add an S. There is no S in the regular imperative, but if you replace the noun by a pronoun, you will need to add that S for the ER verbs. So, two other examples. Parle à ton père, talk to your father. Here you have to your father, you have a preposition, so we have an indirect pronoun here that we need. So it's gonna be parle-lui, talk to him, right? Indirect pronoun. À ton père, parle-lui. Again, the pronoun goes behind the verb. Téléphone à tes parents, call your parents, or telephone to your parents. Here, téléphoner à, preposition plus plural, so indirect object here, téléphone leur. And leur, again, is behind the verb, call them. So we also have the imperative negative, right, that we talked about. So now let's say we have the imperative negative with a noun here that we want to replace. So, ne mange pas le gâteau. And let's say we want to replace that noun with a pronoun. We know it's le. Don't eat the cake. Let's say we want to say don't eat it. Ne le mange pas. Don't eat it. Very important, you notice here that the pronoun is back in front of the verb. So you want to remember that in regular sentences, you will use pronouns in front of the verb. In the imperative, though, the imperative pronouns will go behind the verb. Except with the imperative negative, the pronouns go back in front of the verb. So, second sentence, n'allez pas à la bibliothèque. So here we look for the pronoun à la bibliothèque. À plus a place, it's gonna be y. Don't go to the library. Let's say we want to say don't go there. N'y allez pas. D'accord? So it seems a bit difficult, but it's not. We just follow the logic here. We keep the negation around the verb, and the pronoun, right, goes just in front of the verb, like we've learned before. So the pronoun and the verb form a block, and the negation surround that block. Example number 3. Ne bois pas de café. Don't drink coffee. Let's say we want to replace de café. We want to say don't drink some, ou don't drink it. So here, ne bois pas de café, n'en bois pas, don't drink some. So we're going to use en here. We place en in front of the verb. The verb and the pronoun is a block, and we put the negation around the block. Of course, here it's a ne, right? But y is considered as a voyelle. That's why you have an apostrophe. Same here, in front of a and in front of e. Same thing, ne becomes an apostrophe. Ne parle pas à cette personne. Don't talk to this person. Ne lui parle pas. Don't talk to her. Same thing. The pronoun goes in front of the verb. The negation surround the pronoun and the verb. So we also have the imperative for the reflexive verbs, right? Remember, reflexive verbs are, for example, se lever, se laver, etc. So here, lève-toi. That's how we add the to form. That's what you would say. Again, we don't use the subject. So what you have behind is the pronoun. So, par exemple, tu te lèves. That would be the regular sentence for that verb. Tu te lèves. We don't use the subject, and the te goes behind and becomes toi, and we drop that s. Lève-toi, because it's the er verb. So levons-nous, it would be like nous levons. We don't use the subject. The nous goes behind the verb. So levons-nous, let's get up. Levez-vous, get up. You notice it's the same here form in English. So it depends if it's formal or informal. Lève-toi, it's informal. Levez-vous, it's formal. Or we can also use levez-vous if you talk to a group of people. So vous levez. We don't use the subject pronoun, but you use that pronoun and it goes behind the verb. That's why we have it here. So we do not have the subject in English nor in French. Now we can also have the reflexive pronoun, the reflexive verbs at the imperative negative. So let's see here. Tu ne te lèves pas. That would be a regular sentence. So in the imperative, you drop the subject. The te stays here. You drop that s. Very important. Ne te lève pas. Don't get up. But again here, at the imperative negative, the pronouns noun remain in front of the verb. So, second sentence, ne nous levons pas, let's not get up. So it would be nous ne nous levons pas. Drop the subject, ne nous levons pas. Simple here. Ne vous levez pas, same thing, vous ne vous levez pas. Drop the subject and the sentence stay the same. So it's important here to remember that the imperative negative, the pronouns go back in front of the verb. So let's practice. You should pause here the video and see if you can translate the sentences. Of course, first you translate the sentence and then you transform the sentence with a pronoun. So I indicated here informal and formal so that you know how to use tu or to use vous. So let's just pause the video and try to translate those sentences, and when you're done, just look at the answer. Thank you. So here are the answers. Do your homework. Fais tes devoirs. And if you want to replace tes devoirs, fais-les. informal, right? Let's go to the beach, let's go there. Allons à la plage. À la plage, allons-y. Place, behind the verb. Now, don't call your friends, don't call them. Informal. Ne téléphone pas à tes amis, ne leur téléphone pas. Remember here, the imperative negative, the pronouns go back in front of the verb. And so you have the pronoun, the verb, and the negation surrounding the verb and the pronoun. You could have also used the verb appeler, but if you use the verb appeler, you will need to change the pronoun. N'appelle pas tes amis, ne les appelle pas, because you don't use a preposition with appeler. You use the preposition with téléphoner à tes amis, mais n'appelle pas tes amis, no preposition, therefore you're going to use a direct object pronoun. Eat some cheese. So some here we want to use a partitive article. Eat some, informal. Mange du fromage. Remember, partitive article here becomes en for the pronoun, and now for the liaison you will use that S. Mange-en. Mange du fromage, mange-en. Eat the apple. Eat it, informal. Mange la pomme, mange-la. You do not use that S here, right? Because ER verb and we don't need that S for the pronunciation. Let's take my car, let's take it. Prenons ma voiture, prenons-la. Pronoun behind the verb. Get dressed. Here we are going to use s'habiller. It's a reflexive verb. So, formal. Habillez-vous, right? So, in a regular sentence, it would be vous vous habillez. We drop the subject and the pronoun goes behind the verb. Habillez-vous. Now, don't wake up. Formal. Ne vous réveillez pas. Now, the imperative negative, the pronoun is back in front of the verb. The pronoun and the verb form the block and the negation surround that block. Voilà, I hope this video helped. Merci beaucoup et à bientôt. Au revoir.